are stories that connect us to ourselves and each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid, wild colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. And now, exclusively on KGRA Radio, I give you your host for Soul Wanderings Radio. Here's AJ.
Hello, Wanderers. Welcome. This is Soul Wanderings, and I am AJ Rasmussen, your host. Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited for tonight. It's going to be a conversation that's right up my alley. I really am intrigued by the topic of conversation we'll be having, and I hope you are too. We are live on KGRADB.com as well as on video over on the KGRADB Facebook and YouTube pages. And you can join us on one of those platforms. Conversation, questions, whatever it is you'd like to do over there. And if you do have a question, if you'll type those in all caps, it makes it a lot easier for us to gather those questions easily. Not last week, but I believe it was the week before, I shared that I thought it would be a lot of fun to share some of the emails that I receive from listeners, from other wanderers from time to time with you, and the ones that I get sent to me and decide to share on the show. I thought it'd be really fun to return the favor with a special gift. So tonight I do want to share a little blip of an email that I received this past week. And the listener did want to remain unnamed. So for that sake, we will just call him Joe. And Joe wrote in and shared this. I have lost a lot of things in life, but one thing I have not lost is my ability to believe in a bigger purpose. Your show talks a lot about that, about finding your purpose, and reminds me every week that I have to keep going. This is my one shot. I just wanted to take a moment to tell you how much this means to me, that you take the time to share with us your heart and gather great guests to share with us their experiences as well. Great job on the show, and please don't ever give up. I know I won't, and a lot of it is because of your show. It gives me chills. I love messages like that. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate you taking the time to share with me, and I'll be sending out a special gift to you this week to show my gratitude and appreciation. I love giving gifts, Wanderers, so if you want a special little surprise from me, all you'll need to do is write me and share with me, and you can really share anything. Talk to me about your day, how it was. Talk to me about how you impacted someone's life, how they impacted yours, how a certain guest has taught you something new, how you implemented the new thing, etc., etc. It can be anything. And if I choose to read your email on air, I'll be sending you a sweet surprise as well. For you to do that, all you have to do is email me at connect@soulwanderings.com. If you forget that email, you can just go to soulwanderings.com and go to the very bottom. There's an email platform there for you to reach out to me. I just love that email. Thank you again, Jill. That was so sweet of you. Before I move on to introduce you to our guest this evening, a friendly reminder that next week is my 200th episode. I cannot believe it. I've been doing this show for almost 5 years. I still have quite a few months. Let's see. So about 5 more months and it will be 5 years. But 200th episode, I'm really excited. And we're going to have a returning guest who you guys have requested for a return. That means with this guest, and it's not Misty, but with this guest, we're opening up the phone lines for you to call in to have a reading. A different type of reading than Misty offers. You guys really enjoyed her time last time she was with us. But not only that are we opening up the phone lines for readings, we're also opening up the phone lines for giveaways. So, throughout the show, I'll give you an opportunity to call in, and I'm going to be having all kinds of goodies to give away to celebrate with me. Remember how I like giving gifts? This is another way I like to give gifts. You show up, and I'm going to show up for you too. But I'm so excited to celebrate this milestone with you, and I really do hope you will be joining us next week here on kgradb.com. Same time, same place. All right, guys, let's get to it. Tonight we are wandering with Wendy Rose Williams. She's a hypnotherapist, Reiki master, energy healer, certified spiritual teacher, and author. In addition, Wendy has also experienced 2 near-death experiences and is consciously aware of over 100 of her very own past lives. She'll be sharing with us those experiences as well as her experience with soul families, soul mates, and soul contracts. Welcome to the show, Wendy.
Well, thank you and congratulations. What a neat accomplishment. 199 episodes tonight and almost 5 years. That's fantastic.
Thank you. It really, what a blessing. It's gone by so fast, and every week I learn a little bit more about myself and about others around me, and I just truly feel blessed to work with such an amazing team. And now I get to hear and learn all about you, which is so exciting to me. Another wonderful guest. Thank you for reaching out and sharing with me your desire to be on the show. You have so much to teach us.
Well, thank you. Did you want to start with the near-death experience? Because that was chronologically what came first as the big first spiritually transformative experience for me.
Yeah, we'll have plenty to share. And if that is what started your
Perfect.
journey, it's a great place for us to begin.
Okay. Well, what happened was in August of 1997, I was newly pregnant. I was 10 weeks pregnant, and my husband and I were thrilled because there had been years of infertility, and I'd also had 2 ectopic pregnancies. And we had a toddler who was about 18 months old. So we were just really, really excited. And I had just 1 visit to the OBGYN because I was so early in the pregnancy. Everything was looking great. The only things that seemed a little odd to me was I had this incredible heartburn that just didn't make any sense because only 10 weeks pregnant. And I'd asked the OB and I'd called the office about it a couple times because it was bothering me enough. And I just heard, well, just take my Lanta. That's safe for you to take. So it's like, okay, every pregnancy can be different. And the other thing that was going on, AJ, was I was having recurring dreams. This very vivid dream would repeat. And I didn't understand the concept of precognitive dreams, that you might be having a dream that's a foreshadowing and trying to give you a heads up of something that might be coming down the road. And what would happen in this dream was I would see this violent storm out at sea. And there was a ship with multiple masts on it. And in this storm, all the masts would break off, all the winches would tear off, all the cleats would tear off, and the ship would break in 2 and go down. And I just didn't know what to do with it. It's like, what do you call those pregnancy hormones? I just didn't know what to make of it. But it was certainly catching my attention because it was a repeated dream. It was so vivid. And I didn't normally remember many of my dreams. So that was kind of the backdrop to what was going on with the pregnancy. And I was working at home on a weekday. My husband was off at work with one of our cars, and our nanny was at the park with our toddler. So she had the other car. And I just could not get comfortable. It's like I'm trying to sit at my desk. I'm trying to work. I'm just trying to focus. And I just kept going in the bathroom. I just kept feeling like something's really wrong, but I didn't know what it was. I was just so restless. And I tried laying down for a while, and just more and more of this heartburn. And I had never had such heartburn, and I hadn't eaten anything that, to kick it off. And I'm in the bathroom again, and all of a sudden, there's just this searing pain in my abdomen, combined with this sense of impending doom. And I've never had a feeling like that before or since. So I passed out on the bathroom floor, and I came to only because there was this super insistent male voice that just kept saying, Wendy, Wendy, you've got to wake up. You've got to call for help now, or you're going to go home. So I open my eyes, I'm laying on my side in a fetal position, and I look around my bathroom, and it was just totally lit up, AJ. There was so much light. I've never seen so much light. And it was the middle of the afternoon, but just, it was way more than the amount of sunlight or light that could normally be there in the bathroom with the one small window.
Right.
And as I'm looking, I can just see these huge rays of light coming from these very large figures. And I sensed there was about 4 or 5 of them. And they were angels. And that just blew my mind because I didn't know I could have an experience like that. But there wasn't time to sort it out because he repeated, you've got to call for help now, right now, or you're going to go home. And I knew he meant I was going to die. So my response was, okay, I get it, but I can't walk. How am I going to get to the phone? I didn't have a cell phone. It's 1997, didn't have a cell phone, glued to my hand like we do now, or glued in the back pocket or wherever. And his reply was very interesting. He said, you just have to be willing to try. So I got up on my hands and knees, and it was like being flown. It's just like I was gently lifted a couple inches off the floor and didn't have far to go, just master bathroom to master bedroom. And I had a landline on my nightstand next to the bed. So I reach up, I'm able to reach the phone. I'm still on the floor, and I'm able to reach the phone, and I call my husband at work. And there the miracles continue because I actually reached him.
Thank
I don't
goodness.
think I've reached my husband at work before or after. And I just said to him, I need you to come home right now. Can you come home immediately and drive me to the hospital? And I give him great credit because all he said was, yes, be right there. And I could hear him throw the phone down. And I really appreciated there was no conversation, why do you need me to do that? What's going on? It was just, yes, I'm coming. And I never thought to call 911. I had not called 911 at that point in my life. I was 36 years old. I just had never had an occasion. And the angel didn't say call 911. He said call for help. So I did. So I then just had time. My husband worked super close to home at that time too, was another reason why it seemed like a good decision, because he was literally 5 or 6 minutes from our house. And I just had time to call the OBGYN office and tell them that it felt like something had ripped or torn from my abdomen. And I told them that I could see my abdomen distending. And I told them it's no blood, but just excruciating pain. So, and I said, my husband's on the way home. What do I do? Do I go to the hospital? Do I go to what do I do? And they said, come right here to our office, which was perfectly located right at the hospital. And they told us not to even park when we got there. Just they'd be down waiting curbside with a wheelchair for me because they didn't want me to walk. So that was all perfect. But, I'm also like, oh gosh, this is obviously really serious because I'm getting, this kind of response. And they met us at the curb at the hospital, at the doctor's office, and just whisked us up to their office straight into an ultrasound room. And they had to help me get up on the ultrasound table because I was just so doubled over in pain. And the ultrasonographer starts doing the study, and I'd had ultrasounds before. I mean, normally you can see organs, you can see things. That's the whole point. You're trying to visualize what's going on. But I couldn't see anything. I'm like looking at the screen, and I asked her, is that machine on? Is that working? Because it was just black. And her response was, I'm going to get the doctor. So just stay right where you are. Just take a second. I'm going to go get the doctor. So I'm
Mm.
looking at my husband, and, we're like, oh boy, what is going on here? And the doctor comes in, as well as a nurse midwife. So we've now got 5 of us, crowded in this little ultrasound room. And the doctor takes one look at the screen. He tries to adjust it, and he tells me, you've got some sort of serious abdominal bleed going on. We don't know what the bleed is from, but we need to admit you to the hospital now. So I was taken from the physician's office by stretcher. I think they actually went and got a stretcher. I don't remember being in the wheelchair, and took me directly up onto the floors. So that was round 1.
How did you know that you were having a near-death experience? First of all, like, how did you even know that they were angels?
Sure, great question. Just their presence. They were so large, so majestic, so loving, so wise, and just the light coming off them. I didn't physically see their bodies. I'm not especially clairvoyant. I'm a very clairaudient, which I think may have been why I heard that angel so clearly. And I'm clairsentient and claircognizant. So, but you just knew. I mean, I just could hear, like, the second I woke up, it was like, angels, angels, angels. There's angels here. There's angels in your bathroom.
And you stayed
So
present in your bathroom the entire time, or when you were
I
visited, were you
I
taken
had
to any other experience at that
I
time?
was not taken into any other experience at that time. I had passed out. I came to the angels telling me I needed to call for help. And it was like very 3D at that point, call my
Mhm.
husband, call the OBGYN office,
Right,
and figure out how to get downstairs, because I had to get down a full flight. And I knew I couldn't walk, and I better not walk. So I just sat on the top step and kind of like bumped my way down the stairs like a
right.
2-year-old might, because I was afraid of falling.
Cautiously. Right.
Yeah, I was afraid of falling, and I was just in too much pain. So I thought, I better just stay on the ground here.
I could
So
see
I
that.
had just made it to the front door, and I had managed to snag my purse on the way. And I was like there on the front doorstep when he, pulled in his car, and he helped me get in the car.
Perfect.
So, and did you ask, how did I know it was a near death experience?
Right. The reason why I ask, I've had several people on the show who claim to have had near death experiences. I've had an experience of my own, which sounds very familiar, very similar to what you experienced. The whole room lit up. There were what I would call angels, that knowing that they were. But I've also had people who have said that they crossed over and they were taken, to a place, call it
Yes.
heaven for lack of a better word, and
Yes.
had conversations, saw people, that
Yes.
type of experience.
That came later. That came a few days later in the
Okay.
hospital.
All right. So we'll
So
continue on with your story then.
Sure. So I was admitted in the hospital, and the first priority was to just, get me settled in the bed. And I was told, don't get up, even to go to the bathroom. You've got to just, not be moving until we can stop this bleed or get
Mhm.
this bleed to resolve on its own. Because of course we know the body's just a miracle in so many ways. And
Right.
everyone's hoping, well, maybe it was like, the gallbladder or just, something, a non-essential organ
Mhm.
had the appendix, had potentially been what had ruptured. But the other priority was to get blood on board, because that's evidently why my abdomen was just distending like that, was just this bleed that was going on. So I hear the nurse calling the blood bank. We've got a central blood bank for a lot of the hospitals in the Seattle area, meaning every hospital does not necessarily inventory their own blood. So she's calling. They'd asked me my blood type, and I said, okay, A negative. Everyone should know their blood type because you never know when there's going to be
Right.
some emergency like this, just, so sudden, so out of the blue. And I can hear her. I can hear she doesn't sound happy. And I also noticed that they kindly gave me the room right next to the nurse's station, which I knew meant they were pretty concerned too and didn't know what was going on yet. And she finds out that there had just been a major train collision 2 or 3 days before, and they didn't have any A negative blood for me. So this is an issue. So that caused a delay. There was no conversation. Should we be doing surgery right now? Do we need to do exploratory surgery? But I'm like putting the brakes on. It's like, oh my goodness, I just got to catch my breath. This is like going too fast for me. And guess what? I don't want surgery.
Right. Timing is all wrong.
And we don't have blood. And they're like, yeah, that's a very reasonable position to take and reasonable consideration. So just stay in the bed and let's see if we can get this to resolve. And they did get blood. I just don't remember if it was, later that night or the next day or whatever, but they did procure blood somewhere else because there was some conversation, are we able to get a donation from my husband? Because he happens to have the same blood type, which is pretty rare.
Yeah.
So I'm in the hospital bed, and for 2 or 3 days, we're just taking this wait and watch approach. I'm just blowing through the painkillers, and that IV with the blood being transfused was so painful. I think just because I was losing so much blood, they just, needed to transfuse it as quickly as they could. And I mean, I would be looking up at the pole going, oh my gosh, they're changing the bag of blood again. I was having a lot of trouble focusing. I was having a lot of trouble staying awake, staying conscious. I'll be honest, I didn't really care. And that concerned me because I could just feel myself walking between two worlds and just being a little strangely detached from it all. So it was I believe it was day 3, because they'd been measuring my hematocrit each day and, doing some tests to see how I was doing. And that hematocrit was just dropping dangerously, dangerously low. So at that point, the OB told me, we've got to do surgery. Will you please agree to the surgery? Because you are at this point, you are absolutely bleeding out. We cannot transfuse blood quickly enough. You're clearly still losing it somewhere that we've got to do a surgical repair. So I agreed, and we agreed it was going to be my own OBGYN and one of his partners. And I felt very comfortable and confident with that decision. He had done my 2 ectopic pregnancies. I knew he was a great surgeon. I also knew that they did about 5,000 deliveries a year at my community hospital at that time, which is a really high number. And that means they're doing a lot of GYN surgeries and, all the related things.
Right.
So I didn't want to be moved downtown. I didn't see any gain to that at all. So agreed to have the surgery the next morning. So I signed the paperwork and get, you know how you get your dinner in the hospital at 4:45? It's just so early. So I'm trying to relax after dinner. I'm trying to just, bolster myself. I'm trying to visualize a great outcome. I'm trying to build up my strength, but I'm just feeling like a truck has run over me. The minute I really visualized a great outcome, I popped right out of my body. I was just absolutely gone, above the body, feeling fantastic for the first time in, 3 or 4 days, because no more pain.
Right. So what do you mean above your body?
I popped out of my body. I felt like I didn't look at myself right away. I looked down at myself in the bed, and I knew it was me in the bed, but I knew it wasn't all of me. It wasn't the real me. It was like a temporary, partial me.
You had that knowing?
I had that knowing. And I did have a funny moment too, because I looked and I'm like, oh my gosh, she is whiter than the sheets. She's really in a bad way. And I also had this humorous moment because I'm critiquing the way I looked. Because of course there's been like no mirror, there's been like no hair brushing going on. I look like a wild woman. It's like, my hair's in like 50 directions. And I'm like, wow, couldn't they have at least brushed her hair?
So you were having those observations and judgments as you were floating or hanging out above your body as a spirit or soul, or however you look at that.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Yeah, as an observer.
Yes, as an observer.
This is a good place. This is a good place to stop. We're going to have our first break. Perfect. And when we get back, we'll find out what happened next. Okay? Everyone stay close. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat.
Hey members, the new KGRA-DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA-DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA-DB.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Welcome to the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. Here you'll find great new content, including the KGRA Classics, great shows from our archives. You'll be able to see the show times and information so you can see what show is currently on air. The on-air live button, so just go to this section and you'll be able to hear the show live with exceptional sound quality. We also have the Vault section. Make sure to subscribe to get access to great content and special features. We have the make content for our latest news and events, so make sure to sign up and you can be part of our forum. So make sure to check out the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. We look forward to seeing you there, and we hope that you enjoy the new website.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Soul Wanderings here on KGRADB.com. I am AJ Rasmussen, your host, and tonight we are visiting with our guest, Wendy Rose Williams. Wendy has had a couple of NDEs as well as a learning of over 100 past lives of hers, which I can't wait to get to that part too. That stuff just fascinates me, Wendy. But before the break, you were sharing with us your second NDE, how you had actually floated above your body and was observing your human self. Which, yes. The way that you were observing, I've never heard anyone, like I've had people talk about NDEs and they said my body was this way, like it was broken this way, or people were surrounding me, or whatever that looked like for them, but not like an actual judgment on, like, their hair was a mess.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's just everyone is so different how they have these experiences.
Yes, exactly. So after taking that one glance back at my body in the hospital bed, I was really not interested. I thought, she's okay. And I did notice too, I was referring to myself in the third person,
Mm-hmm.
which I found interesting. But what really interested me was I could sense all this light above me. So I just floated up and I easily went through the ceiling of my hospital room and I found myself popping up above the hospital and going up above the trees
Mm-hmm.
and just starting to go up and up and up to the light. And then I remember thinking, oh gosh, I hope this isn't the part where I have to like walk through this long tunnel. Because I didn't know very much about NDEs
Like the
at all.
stories say, yes.
Exactly.
I went through the long tunnel to the white light.
Exactly. So that's worked its way into our pop culture. I at least, had that awareness back in
That
1997.
does happen though, but
And the minute I had that thought, oh, please don't make me walk through the tunnel, I'm too tired.
mm-hmm.
This pristine, huge escalator came in. And it was just so lit up, all this light around it. It was so perfect. No one else on it. So I get on it with this big feeling of relief and just said, thank you. Thank you for sending the transportation. And I remember like leaning on the handrail of the escalator to my right. And that was the first time I got a sense of what form I was in. And it's like I was like a white beach ball, but I was kind of deflated and not looking too great. So I'm kind of like, mushing over that rail on the escalator. So it goes up and up and up, and I just see more and more light. And I am so thrilled and excited about what's going to come next. And I'm feeling better and better. And I'm starting to think, oh my gosh, I get to go home. And at the top of the escalator, there were about 20 beings of light. And the angels that had been in my bathroom were there. And also just everyone I loved. It's like all my grandparents were there.
Wow.
They were just this feeling of love was incredible. And they all grabbed me in this like big group hug and were just holding me there right at the top of the escalator.
Wow.
So I just basked in that because we don't feel unconditional love like that very often.
Do you feel like we experience that type of love as humans though? Or is that a whole other level?
That's a great question. Perhaps the closest I can come to it is when you hold that newborn in your arms for the first time. That's maybe the closest I can get to that. Of just that
very unconditional and deep, incredible
you just
love.
feel like your heart is like bursting open. Yeah. It just felt like that.
That's a good way to explain it.
So it did feel other level, but it just was so much love being given to me. And the same male angel that I'd heard in the bathroom, I'll call him my spokesperson. He's my spokesangel.
Nice.
He addressed me again and said, we're so happy you're here. You're so welcome to be here. You haven't done anything wrong, but we want you to understand you're going to have a choice to make. And if you want to go back, you're going to need to make that choice pretty quickly. So what I need you to know is I can share with you, you are going to have a successful surgery. You will fully recover if you choose to go back and have the surgery. And your baby will be born healthy.
Yay.
So that was 2 huge pieces of information, because without knowing that, I'm not sure what my decision would have been. And he then added to it, it's your choice. And the third thing that you need to know is if you do choose to go back, it's going to be very difficult for many years, most likely, because you are not on your life path. So I looked at him and I'm really concerned. I mean, I'm just so thrilled from the first two things he
Mhm.
told me. But oh my goodness, here I am. I'm 36 years old and I'm not on my life path. So I looked at him and said, well, what is it? I want to do the right thing. What am I missing? What am I not doing? What do I need to
Mhm.
change? And he just gently shook his head. And I thought, oh, goodness. Okay, no more information there. So I start looking around at all the others. I thought maybe one of them will give. Let's see if I can get some information. But they just got really playful. They're putting duct tape over their mouths. They're like throwing away the key. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm not going to give
because you're
any more
not meant to
information.
know.
I'm not meant to know. I have to figure it out myself.
Right.
So he asked me what I wanted to do. And the minute he asked me that question, do you want to go back? All I could see was my toddler's face. And I said, oh, absolutely. I want to go back. I want to go back for my children.
Mhm.
Because there's not only going to be one, there's going to be two. And I've also got the great good fortune of I was told I was going to return to full health. So, these were big things to know. And I was very
Mhm.
grateful. So at that point, when I said I want to go back, the group gave me a second group hug. And that time I caught on. It wasn't only the unconditional love, they were giving me energy
Mm.
because, as I said, I was just flatter than a pancake. I'm not sure I would have survived that surgery without having gone home and had that experience. And to
Wow.
also get to feel that there were people there on the other side rooting for me and to know it in such a tangible way. And also to have that preview of coming attractions. I
Yeah.
didn't get the life review because I didn't need a life review. I more needed that future type
Mhm.
information.
It needed reassurance that everything was going to work out.
Yes,
Did
exactly.
you believe in angels before you had this experience?
I did, but in an abstract way, like it's this, beautiful thing on your Christmas cards and,
Right.
what a lovely energy to think about. But I
Mhm.
had never thought or known that I could connect in such an experiential way where it just removed all doubt. It was no longer theory.
Yeah.
It was, absolute experience at that point. It just became an unshakable belief for me. Yes, angels are real. I met
Yeah.
them twice.
So not only the angels, but even an afterlife, if you will. Did you believe that we continued on from this human experience?
I didn't have very many beliefs in that area at all. I was a casual Christian, but pretty conservative with my beliefs. And I've had my MBA degree since I was 22, so pretty left-brained.
Yeah.
And I was not on a spiritual path at all. So this experience really came out of the blue. And to have it be uh, so lovely in some aspects, just
Mhm.
some incredible uplift from it. And seeing my four grandparents was a game changer and did convince me more of the afterlife because my mom's parents I knew very well. But my dad's parents I'd never met. They died before I was born. He was 6 when his mom passed, and he was 17 when his dad passed. So that's before I'm born.
Yeah.
But
And
I
you knew
knew
it was
exactly
them.
who they were, and
Yeah.
they knew me.
Yeah.
So, there's definitely something going on, at that afterlife level.
Right. Right. So when you, after that experience and you came back to your body, what was that transition like, leaving one realm to come back to another?
Yes, it was. So everyone gives me that big hug. I feel that energy, that love, that support. And
Mhm.
they just gently turn me around and put me back on the down escalator. And I'm kind of like looking over my shoulder a little bit, and everyone's like waving and jumping up and down, like
They're
cheerleading.
excited
You
for
can
you.
do it, that sort of thing. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And I just floated back into my body really gently. That it just It just felt really natural. And I got a good night's sleep for the first time in, quite a few nights, which I think again helped me have that successful surgery the next morning, because I
Yeah.
more had my energy and I had my confidence, and I believed I was going to be fine.
Yeah.
And I believed the baby was going to be fine. So, talk about visualizations.
Right.
It was a game changer.
Oh, yeah. Well, having the knowing and not having the doubt really changes everything for you, especially
Exactly.
your mind and the way you look at the experience and the perspective on it. Because even if it's challenging, you know you're going to get through it.
Exactly. So what happened the next morning with the surgery, when I was recovering from that and the physician came in to do a debrief with me, what he explained was, of course, a 10-week-old fetus is this tiny little peanut. And he said, fortunately, she was very low in the uterus, because what had actually happened was my fundus, Fundus, which is the aorta at the top of the uterus, it had ruptured. And to have
Wow.
an aorta rupture, that's why I was losing so much blood. So they estimated I lost 3/4 of my blood. And, just based on how much blood they had to transfuse, and just, based on what had happened. So that was all surgically repaired. And I then went home. I was in the hospital another 3 days or so. And then I went home for 6 weeks of bed rest, essentially. And I was very, very fortunate. I was so grateful that we had the live-in nanny, because she was really helping take care of me,
I
as
would
well as our
say,
very active toddler.
lucky
There's
girl.
just no way, that I could have done that. And my husband, of course, was, needing to go to work. So I recover, I go back to work, and I went part-time for 1 week, and then I'm back to full-time. It's a job I love. I'd been there about 3 years, glowing performance evaluations. Everyone welcomes me back. Just thrilled to be back and feeling better, and pregnancy's progressing. And I'm back to work for about 6 weeks, I would say. And Friday afternoon, I get called into my boss's office, which I don't think a thing about. I just had a great relationship with my boss. I thought, oh, he wants to tell me something about work, or he wants to just, chit chat about the weekend coming up or whatever. I don't think a thing about it until I walk in his office and I see his face and his energy. He looks like the weight of the world on his shoulders, and I see the human resources rep sitting there at the table. She looks the same. She's got a file on the table. I know this is a layoff. So I get laid off, which is really distressing on many levels, because we counted on my full-time income. I loved the job, and I also carried the health insurance for the whole family. And guess what? Pregnant.
There's a challenge to be had.
Oh my goodness. So I took it hard. I took it really, really hard. But I went home and, filed for unemployment, update my husband, update our nanny. Of course, our daughter's way too young to understand. But things are not going well with job searching. I'm still not feeling great. I'm now, looking quite pregnant. This is just not an
Which
ideal
makes it
time.
even more challenging.
Makes it more challenging. And it was just a big recession at that time. It was November of 1997, and it was just a real downturn in the economy. So I'm job searching, being at home, and 1 week later to the day, my husband comes home from work really, really late, like 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, and he'd not called. And I was like, this is really odd. So he comes in looking like the weight of the world on his shoulders. And I said, oh gosh, what's wrong? You okay? What's going on? And he said, I need to tell you something really hard. So let's sit down and talk it through. And what he needed to tell me was that his software company, that he was one of 5 owners in, had really gotten into a very desperate situation very, very quickly because I had no hint it was coming. And he said they'd essentially laid off everyone in the company, with the exception of the 5 owners. Were going to have to do the cleanup and try and get it sold if they could, try and clean up the lease. And he also let me know that he was going to payless paydays. And I'm looking at him going, does not compute.
Right.
I ran it around my brain about 3 times. I'm like, those are 2 words that don't go together. What does that mean? And he said, it means I'm going to be working about 80 hours a week because I've got to do the programming, because we've sold contracts and we've got to keep our reputation and we've got to finish the work, as well as close down the company and try and sell it. So I'm like, my jaw is now on the floor, and I'm not happy because there's no discussion. There's no, what do you think? It's just all totally fait accompli. It's what he has chosen and what he has decided. So I'm trying to take a deep breath, and it's like, okay.
It's a lot to take in.
It's a lot to take in. On
big life choices.
On top of mine. And I'm still not healthy. Because we're still in this pregnancy where we've been told your uterus may rupture again because of just the tremendous strain and stress that goes on it, and that would put the baby up into your heart and lungs. This could be life-threatening. So this is quite an interesting way to be going through a pregnancy.
Right. Jump. I don't know who's going to catch you when you fall, but.
Right. Exactly. And so as I'm taking a breath and I'm asking my husband, well, I realize this just happened today, but have you filed for unemployment? Because let's at least get that going. And now I get another rude shock. And he lets me know, well, there is no unemployment because I'm self-employed and the premiums were exorbitant. So we chose not to purchase it.
Ouch.
Again, there was no discussion with me. So I'm not happy. And this is kind of the situation we're in. So he's at work, those long hours, trying to get everything held together there. And he asks me, okay, I need you to figure out the family finances, just cut expenses, what can we borrow, use the savings as sparingly as we can.
You figure it out while I go work for free.
Exactly. You manage the home financial crisis, and I'm off at work managing the work financial
Women
crisis.
are good at that, though.
So it was compounded by, we had just purchased a home not long ago. We've got the full-time nanny on contract, can't let her go. We had just purchased not long ago a brand new minivan because we're getting ready for 2 babies. So I'm kind of like, hey, I'm an MBA. I'm good with budgets and money, and I'm going through, okay, what's the biggest hits in the budget? Let me call the lender on the home. Let me give them an update. Let's see if I can renegotiate something different. Can we, skip a payment? Can we make a partial payment? Just let them know what's going on. We're both actively job searching. We've both got, great careers, great educations. And evidently I was very naive because their response to me was, thanks for the heads up. As soon as you, miss a payment and have missed, as soon as we can start to foreclose, we'll be foreclosing. Thanks for the heads up. We've marked your file. And I'm just bawling at that point. It's oh my goodness.
Everything's crumbling.
Right.
So
everything's crumbling. Because of course, if you lose your home, it's not only where you're going to live, it's, everything you put into the down payment and all payments. I have the same exact conversation regarding the minivan, and they're like, thanks for the heads up. We'll be repossessing as soon as we're legally able to. So I'm like, oh my goodness. Unladylike words are flowing out of me.
I'm sure. I would have been losing my mind. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can read the bubble over my head. So I'm looking at other options. Can I work part-time? Can I convince my husband to work part-time in a paying job? I'm looking at all options. Can we get another mortgage? Can we, borrow? We can't get another credit card. Neither one of us is working. So we went to Bank of Mom after all cards had been played and my little bit of severance had been used up, etc., and savings had been used up. So Bank of Mom, my mother kindly took a deep breath and stepped to the plate and helped us. Just no questions asked, and we just wrote a note with her of what we were going to owe her back. So that was in November that happened. And amazingly, healthy delivery went very well in mid-March.
Right.
And that same exact weekend was when my husband got his company sold and went back to work the Monday after she was born in his new company that he had sold his company to.
Everything worked out.
All right back in the same weekend.
So good. So good. Yeah.
And then 3 months later, I went back to work. I went into a new job.
Oh, that's great news. Those challenges, though, we all face them on one level or another. Ooh, character builders, right?
Absolutely. And I was very fortunate along the way because I heard the angels again in a very interesting place, because we're in the situation where we've got no health insurance. And I'm trying to qualify for different things, but because we own a home, we're not qualifying. So I'm in the pediatrician's office, just trying to keep my daughter happy, waiting. Oh, please call our name soon. Trying to keep that little one busy. But I heard that angel voice again, and I heard him say, look. And I'm like, looking at my daughter, looking at the other kids, what's going on? Is everybody okay? And I realized he wanted me to look at this little corner table, and there was a lamp lit, and there was this brochure in front of it that said WIC. I had no idea what WIC was, but it's Women, Infants, and Children. And I was able to qualify and get health insurance for myself, and also get health insurance for my daughter, and to cover the delivery. And it also provided essentially food stamps. It provided us with some food. So again,
You were
that
taken
angelic
care of.
voice.
Yeah. That clairaudience seems to be strong ability with you.
Yes. I feel very fortunate. That's my strongest clair. Absolutely.
That's really neat. And messengers along the way. What a blessing to be able to recognize and follow suit, to pay attention to what they're actually trying to share with you.
Yes. And some of what they share, it's not what we want to hear, but it's not about what we want. It's about what we need.
Right. What's best for us.
Of course, I didn't love hearing your life's going to be very difficult, likely for many years, because you're not on your path. But it was very important to know, and I appreciated it. The next time I really heard the angel, I was very distraught with the message. I had not been home more than a day. It was a very short hospital stay. It was at the time when they were doing what got called drive-through deliveries.
Wow. In and out.
You're there for 24 hours, including the labor. Well, labor can take 12 hours. Labor can take 24 hours. Obviously, there's exceptions if it needs to go longer, but very, very short stay. My daughter was born in the evening. I was there overnight. We went home the next morning. And I had not been home 24 hours. And I was just sitting quietly, just admiring this beautiful, healthy little girl, second baby girl, feeling so grateful. And I heard the same angel say, your contract with your husband is complete.
Wow. You heard it is just like that.
Just like that. And I'm like, what does that mean? And I could just feel like my energy sinking. And we'll talk about soul contracts, because they're very, very intriguing to me.
Right. They are to me as well. And I know very little about them. I learned a little bit more by listening to your books, but
Sure.
It is fascinating to me. There's no doubt about that, and I love hearing more about it. We have a couple of minutes before break. I was interested, and I'm sure you know now because you are sharing your purpose and your gifts with the world, but how long was it into your journey after you were told that things would get harder because you're not living your purpose? Was it
Yes.
before you had the moment or the realization or whatever that looked like for you?
My daughter was born in 1998. My husband and I divorced in 2004,
Mm-hmm.
and I got on my path in 2010. So
Wow.
it took quite a few years. Major things had to happen and had to
Mm-hmm.
shift for me to get there and to understand what I was meant to be doing and for the pieces to come together. Because that expression about sometimes things have to completely fall apart
Right.
to come back together in the
Yeah.
right way and just rebuild on higher ground. For me, it was very, very true.
Wow.
So
And we're going to hear more about that. That means, everyone, I want you to stay close because there's more that Wendy is going to be sharing with us, as well as her books that she shares about past life regression and her own past life. So stay close and we'll return here shortly.
Hey members, the new KGRA-DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA-DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA-DB.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Welcome to the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. Here you'll find great new content, including the KGRA Classics, great shows from our archives. You'll be able to see the show times and information so you can see what show is currently on air. The on-air live button, so just go to this section and you'll be able to hear the show live with exceptional sound quality. We also have the Vault section. Make sure to subscribe to get access to great content and special features. We have the make content for our latest news and events, so make sure to sign up and you can be part of our forum. So make sure to check out the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. We look forward to seeing you there, and we hope that you enjoy the new website.
Hello, you are listening to Soul Wanderings on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Hudson Valley, New York. I invite you to visit kgradb.com for exclusive content and KGRA classics. They're all available. There's so much going on behind the scenes. Great areas that are free. And then when you are a member, there's even more. So I encourage you to have a visit and see for yourself. That's kgradb.com. www.wendyandrose.com. We are wandering with Wendy Rose Williams tonight. She's our guest, and we've been chatting, well, she's been sharing with us about her two NDEs. I just think those are so fascinating. Wendy, your stories are no exception. And I love that you are so vulnerable and open in sharing them with us. First, thank you. And one of the messages that you received that we brought up just before we had to go to break was how you were told that things would be more challenging for you until you came into the knowing of what your purpose was. And obviously, sometime down the road, you learned what your purpose was. Do you have like this aha moment, or was it a series of events that led you to that moment where you were like, I get what they are saying now?
Yes, it was two things came together in a really profound way in 2010. So I was divorced, as I mentioned, in 2004, and it was time to rebuild life. You know, where are we going to live? I changed jobs. I'm raising the children. We were fortunate. We were able to be really good, respectful co-parents, and the kids went back and forth on a 50-50 schedule. So in 2010, I had been divorced for 6 years and life was going really well. And my daughters were 12 and 14. So I'm ready to meet a nice guy. It had been quite a period of just recovery and rebuild. And I had no idea how to do so because it had been 25 years. So I went to the source. I went to my younger girlfriends because I figured they know what's going on.
Do we ever really know, though?
and they told me, well, you need to go on Match.com. And I'm like, what's Match.com? I don't even, what is this word you're saying? So they explained the concept of online dating to me. I'm like, great, that sounds efficient. They helped me put together a profile and, get some photos in there and all that. And I was on there for a couple of months. And the moment I changed my radius to 10 miles from my home, because at that time you could, just set, how far are you willing to be from, work or home from this individuals that you're interested in meeting. The minute I changed the radius, I saw this profile come up on Match, and I looked at the gentleman, and it's like, I know you. I absolutely know you. And I was like glued to the screen. And I'd had a couple months of experience. I'd met a couple people. Nothing was like this. I mean, I was like on hyper alert. How do I know this man? Because I could just feel it in my heart. I could feel it in my body. Mm-hmm. And as I went through what he'd written, it's like I knew what he was going to say before he wrote it. And so I'm trying to think, okay, have we met,
what's going on?
World, what's going on here? Have we met like at a professional association? Because like it wasn't coming to me. How do I know him? But I know him. And his last sentence in the profile was totally unique. And what he'd written was, any woman on a spiritual path, particularly one interested in an LBL, we've got to meet. And I'm like, LBL, I does not compute. So I'm Googling what's an LBL. And it came up with the correct information because I confirmed it with them, emailed them right away. Life Between Lives, Dr. Michael Newton's technique, where it's this 4-hour plus spiritual regression where you go home to the light. So now doesn't this start to, bring the NDE back to mind? So I emailed him and said, I'll be honest, I don't know that I consider myself on a spiritual path, but is LBL Life Between Lives? Because I'm just like lit up. This sounds so interesting. Is this Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton that you're referring to? And he wrote right back and said, yes, are you familiar? I said, I just ordered the book. I'm waiting for the book to arrive. We didn't have Kindle then. And I'm waiting for the book to come. And he says, I'm getting ready to go for my second LBL because I had my first one a couple of years ago and it was so life-changing. And he's also saying, I know you. And so we're like through email, we're like playing How Do I Know You? So we then get on the phone with each other and we're still playing How Do I Know You?
Mm-hmm.
And it took us 3 weeks to meet. We had both of us had a little bit of business travel, busy schedules, but that was perfect because it gave time for the book to arrive and for me to read Journey of Souls.
Mm-hmm.
So we agreed to meet for lunch on a weekday near my work because my work was near his home and he worked from home. And I got there first. I'm sitting in the restaurant foyer on a bench and I see him walk in. And I've never felt a moment like this. It's like I felt the earth move. I felt like seismic plates shifting.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand up. I'm like, I know him. I know him. Life is never going to be the same. This is really important. We're going to figure something out that's huge. And he came right over to me. Granted, you've got pictures, but pictures are not exactly up to date.
Right.
Times.
The confidence of knowing.
They don't show you the person's size. So, but we knew each other right away. And I couldn't stand up. So he drops down on one knee and is like peering in my face saying, I know you. We must have looked very odd. And him just saying that, and he helped me stand up, and then I was okay. It's like, okay, I can move again here. That was very weird. So we go, we're seated, we get this lovely booth in this nice restaurant. We were there for 3 hours. I think we both would have stayed into the night, but we both had to get back to work. And what we realized was we've never met in this lifetime. It was our past lives. And over time, I realized he had the soul contract, meaning an agreement that we made before we both incarnated, that we were going to meet, and he was going to wake me up spiritually, which he did by telling me about Journey of Souls and by coming in as the soulmate that I turned out to have 19 lives with.
Wow.
Never found anyone else I've had that many lives with. So it really, and he had been a spiritual seeker for quite a few years. So he was working to get me up to date and check out this book and, consider having your own past life regression. And he was really mentoring and helping me get the lay of the land much more quickly, than I could have on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you come to a knowing that you had experienced 19 lives together?
That unfolded over the next 8 years. It took us from 2010 to 2018 to learn that. We found them we each had our own past life regression sessions with hypnotherapists, and the lives were coming through there. Yeah. I did learn how to meditate. I was slow to go for it. It took a friend signing me up for the course and telling me we're going. I'm forever grateful to her because I just was dragging my feet saying I'm too busy. I don't have time. If you're saying that, you really do need to learn how to have that, spiritual practice to catch your breath and just, unwind yourself. Because I was just, running around hair afire. I just was trying to do too much all the time. Yeah. I was this busy single mom, working mom, home, animals, just lots going on.
Life living.
Exactly. But you can't let life live you like that. You've got to be more conscious of it and make your decisions and learn how to say no. And I hadn't learned that word very well.
I don't know how many people do until they get to the point where they crash, where they just can't go any further. They've spread themselves way too thin.
Right.
I've done that several times. I still haven't learned my lesson.
Exactly. Yeah, it really can be an issue. We've got to be careful because it can cost us health.
Yes.
So the past lives, they just started coming in all different ways. And we found we were part of a group of friends for a time period. There were maybe 10 or 12 of us where we were finding a whole bunch of lives together. And several of those friends were psychic. So they would find some of the friends and say, oh, gosh, is it okay if I share an impression with you? Because I think I just found another past life that we were in together. And then we were just working to, validate and just be as scrupulous as we could about it, to just, have our own experiences and try and validate and research the best that we could. But they just kept coming in because I worked with a spiritual teacher. I worked with various types of healers. A Reiki master found one of my past lives. Honestly, it got to the point I was waiting for the gentleman bagging my groceries to tell me about one because they were starting to come in so fast and furious. It became really, really hard for a couple of years because most people aren't consciously aware of as many of them as I am, because it was much bigger than those 19 with Kim. I found my first 2 past lives in 2011 through doing a session with a hypnotherapist, and it's now 10 years later, and I'm aware of about 125 of them. It's not a contest. It's not about how many you find. But if you've got a life mission where it pertains to it and you need to find them and you've got energy to release, or you've got wonderful past life abilities to bring forward to now, those are the types of people where we do tend to be, finding a lot of those and having to go through and work with them. So
Is this one of the
really happening.
reasons you became a hypnotherapist?
Yes. So I had my own first session with a therapist in 2011, as I mentioned, and my boyfriend who woke me up, he found that therapist for me, and he actually drove me to that session because he'd wanted to go to her himself. She had this wonderful reputation. I just fell in love with her on the phone. It's like, oh, she's it. But she had a long wait list. I was fine with waiting because I had to save the money and I didn't know how to meditate. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I was fine waiting for that first one. So it was all good because I knew she was it. So I found the 2 then. And then 1 year later, at the end of that 2-hour session, because it was so amazing, we were able to heal. I had had anxiety my whole lifetime. Not to the point where it needed to be medicated, but to the point where it was a buzzkill. I was just living life too small. I was just, over analyzing, overthinking, just not going for
Being
it.
human.
Right. Not spontaneous enough, not just having enough, wonderful adventures.
Yeah.
So to get that resolved in 2 hours and to learn that I was this fantastic, to my surprise, this type A MBA who's never meditated turned out to be this fantastic subject. I move into trance so easily, so deeply. I can't remember most of the session. I'm like, well, I can't wait to hear my recording because I don't know what's on there. So I'm one of those, like at the far end of the scale of just an ideal therapy client, hypnotherapy client. But just so much changed and shifted with that first session. I said to her right at the end of the session, okay, now I'd like to schedule my life between lives. And she looked at me and she said, Wendy, people don't do that. Like, you need to go through a series of past life regressions. You need to go through more spiritual awakenings. I'm like, no, I've got my calendar out. I'm ready to schedule my LPL.
That excitement.
So,
and when
I knew it was right.
When you're learning those experiences that you've had, is there not just the knowing because of your clairabilities, but is there a remembrance at all? Do you remember bits and pieces like they're very familiar so you know that they're true? Or how do you come to know, I had that life, I know 100% without a doubt?
Absolutely. So past lives can come to us in dreams. They can come through us having a past life regression. They can come via our own meditations. They can come through spontaneous recall. I was triggered one time by an episode of Doctor Who, and I suddenly saw this split screen, and in that episode, they're going back to Shakespearean times, and I'm seeing the split screen, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing something different. I know my daughter's not seeing it. It's just for me. but I lived in Shakespeare's times, and that was a big surprise to me. So they just kept coming all different ways. I also started doing past life pilgrimages where if I felt I had been somewhere before, and if it was within driving distance or a weekend, because I specifically asked my guides, because I had friends going on these beautiful, overseas trips and going
Yeah.
to Europe and Greece. And they're like, oh, I think I might have been there before. And I'm like, oh, that's great, but I can't do any of that. I don't have the means to do that. It's not the right time of life for me. So I was sad about that for a time. And then I realized, well, wait a minute. Why am I assuming that I don't have past lives within a day's distance or within a weekend's distance that are easy to get to? So I
Mm-hmm.
just turned the question around and asked my guides, show me something meaningful that's nearby. And then it started to happen. And I made a bunch of day trips and weekend trips. And each time I would learn so much more about that life. And several times another past life then came in right while I was there, some relationship in some way.
Are all of your past lives here as a human, having the human
No,
experience, or do you
absolutely.
remember lives from other times and places?
I do. That's a great question. I'm what I would call a star seed, meaning I
Mhm.
incarnated on other planets first. And I believe I've lived about 50-50, approximately 1,300 lives on other planets and in other dimensions, and
Mm.
approximately 1,300 lives here on Earth.
Wow,
So,
that is an incredible amount of living. Do we
yes.
all live that many lives? Is this it's just a never-ending continual process,
I
or what is
don't
your belief on that?
I don't believe it's never ending. I believe it's a free will choice that we choose where and when to incarnate and with what
Mm.
lessons and to what family. And I believe we outline some of the major portions of it, and that we also can set up soul contracts, which are just simply think of them as agreements with others that you're going to meet at a certain point and they're going to help you learn XYZ. Or maybe you're contracting that you're going to marry someone, because my former husband and I found the contract that we agreed that we were going to marry one another. And we made it after our 1600s lifetime in colonial America when we courted. We went on the old fashioned buggy ride
Mhm.
and I turned him down. We were only
That was
together.
in your book.
Yes, we were only together 2 hours or whatever. And I said, no, thank you. This was lovely. I so appreciate your interest, but you're just not the right gentleman for me. And I'm not interested. So evidently then, we meet again at home and he's like, come
Mhm.
on, Wendy, I
I
really want
really
to
want to
try it.
marry you.
I really want to try it. So my contract with my former husband was to have a long-term marriage that we would both really grow from. We were married for 15 years, together for 18 years, and that we would have beautiful children, plural. And I
Mhm.
could hear that plural so clearly. So I think that's why I heard the angels say, your contract is complete when our second daughter had been born.
Because you had done what you were set out and meant to do.
Yes, yes. And I mean, obviously it's a choice. You can continue going beyond, but it wasn't the right choice for us.
Right.
So as I said, we had that work to have that graceful divorce, that peaceful divorce.
Tell us a little bit about your experience with your MrMatch.com.
Yes. Well,
What
what a
kind of lives have
funny,
you had together, and what
sure.
are you in each other's lives now?
We're not, but our final lesson we completed in 2018 was to part peacefully, because we
Mm.
had never been able to do that before. So we did that, and I just have so much love and gratitude with him, for everything that happened, because it changed my life so profoundly. But I'm
Mhm.
also honestly heartily grateful to be done and to be complete with it, because a lot of it was, shall we say, highest highs, lowest lows type of
Mhm.
relationship. It
Mhm.
had way too much drama for me. I don't care for that much drama in my romantic relationships. And it just,
You learned what you were meant to learn.
we learned what we're meant to learn, exactly. And he had that contract, as I said, to wake me up spiritually. The next contract that I was able to find with him when I was trying to understand this relationship, because it was so crazy, it was so intense. And the next contract I found was for him to break my heart repeatedly until I stood in my power fully without abusing it. That is a brilliant contract, but obviously no one wants to have their heart broken repeatedly.
Right. Of
So
course
I needed
not.
to take care of me, and I needed to part peacefully when we got to that point.
So talk to me about the contract that you guys made together. When you discovered that you had these lives, was there at some point a place and time during one of your lives where you know that you had made that contract together and that
I
it would be
believe
coming to an end?
I believe those contracts are made at home. I did not have a sense of that contract for several years. It took me quite a while. We dated exclusively, but it was only 13 months, and that's a very short period of time. And he ended it, and I was heartbroken in a way I have never been in life. And I knew it was disproportionate to having this, short year relationship. And I knew I was feeling the intensity of the past lives, because as we went through and found those, I found 6 of them when we were married. So there just was a lot of there just was a lot of spousal type energy. And we also had a contract to marry this lifetime. But I saw that contract, but he was really in a very different place, and he didn't have any interest in moving forward. He had already been married and divorced twice. His children were grown and gone, and he just really he's a world traveler. He's been to over 100 countries and just likes to be a really spontaneous guy. And it just really, we just had some differing values around monogamy and commitment that just really couldn't be reconciled. So a spiritual teacher took a look at the energy, and I said, why am I so heartbroken? This is just beyond ridiculous. I've given myself time to grieve. I'm like doing all the right things. I just don't seem to be able to pull out of this. Why is this so incredibly intense? And what she said was, oh my goodness, this is your primary soulmate. And yes, I do see the contract for the two of you, not only to marry and to be really happy together, but you were meant to do a lot of things together spiritually. You were meant to be spiritually teaching together. You were meant to have a radio program together. You were meant to be writing books. And I hadn't told her any of that. And I was like, yes, 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 exactly. And he was feeling some of that energy too. He's also a writer, but we just were interpreting it. And what that spiritual teacher said to me, she just nailed it. She said, you're working 2 different versions of the contract. And they're just not, they can't be reconciled because your values are too different around monogamy and commitment. And you require that, and he's not interested in that. And, thank heaven he was very, very honest. And that was why he, ended it and said, I'm having trouble. I need big adventures again, and I need big adventures with multiple people. And I know that won't work for you. So I'm letting you know, I'm being very truthful here, because I know this is going to be the end of the romance for us. It was, because I just was really, really devastated by that. But like I said, appreciate the honesty.
So do you feel like your contract is fully completed then?
It is. We found, and to answer your question, what types of lives do we find? There was a variety of them. The first 3 lives we had together, I think, are a hoot, because we were in the silent monasteries and we're 2 of the most expressive people you can imagine. So to picture us in these silent monasteries just copying scribes or copying over those scrolls, we were scribes.
Mm-hmm.
And, to take that vow of silence and to just, learn the maturity that comes with that. But both of us remembered, it came through for me first, but he burst out laughing and said, "You're exactly right." We would just wait for lights out because, you went to bed very early when it was dark out. And this was, thousands of years ago. And you'd go to bed and we would just start talking to each other via telepathy. Because no one could
Couldn't
stop
be
that.
silenced.
We were silent.
You were silent, but you couldn't be silenced.
But I had a lot of telepathy with him. We both experienced a lot of telepathy when we were together. For instance, and I've never done this with anyone else, we would know when the other person was calling and we would pick up the phone and the phone hadn't like quite rung yet. And we would just say hello and, say that person's name and we'd go like, "What?"
Yeah.
This was, again, it was, kind of not looking at caller ID. I mean, things are different now with cell phones.
Right.
This was back in 2010. It was very interesting because I didn't have any different ringtones, but when he would call me or text me, I could hear it differently and I would just hear his name. And it was, 99% of the time it was right. And there wasn't any pattern to it. It wasn't like, well, he always calls at 9 p.m. Kind of thing. There was no pattern to it, but there just was a lot of telepathy. Mm-hmm. And another time we were neither of us knew I was going to my first professional soccer game. And I texted him something from the game because he had played soccer recreationally and was a goalie. And I texted him something. I was so excited about it. And he said, "Wait a minute, you're not watching it on TV. Now that I see your text, I can feel you. You're here in the stadium. I'm here in the stadium too." So there just was this interesting awareness of one another.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I would like you to explain to us about soul family, soul contracts, and soulmates.
Sure. My belief is that we have soul families at home. Think of a soul group or a soul family as just simply being a group of individuals that you incarnate with many times. And if you think of your current biological family, some of your neighbors, coworkers, best friends, just think of, the different tribe, the people that you might feel really close with, particularly if you had that instant connection and that feeling like, "Oh my gosh, we've got to catch up." And then you catch yourself and go, "Catch up? We just met 15 seconds ago." What does that mean? Catch up. That's often a soul family type connection. And then we do have soulmates. There's many types of soulmates. It can be just your best buddy, this wonderful friend. It can be your child, your sibling, maybe a parent, whomever, or just, those incredible friends. It can also be the opposite. Because soulmates, because they love us the best and we incarnate together many times, we work together really well. They can agree to play the most harsh, disagreeable, difficult roles in our lives. So when you meet that person and you're like, "Oh, can't stand them," and you're like physically like trying to take a step back, you don't want to shake their hand, if it's a business meeting or it's just like, oh, I know them and this is not good. This is not going to be fun or easy. That can be a soulmate too.
That's interesting. I believe that we have soulmates that are not like you would imagine. I know a lot of people believe soulmates are the ones that we love in a relationship per se, but I know that like my best friend that I've been best friends with since 7th grade, she's by far my soulmate,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we are the same person in a lot of ways. It's hard to separate us that way.
Oh,
and
that's fantastic.
It is. I just adore her. Anyways, it's neat though, because they're not always a happily ever after experience that you have with them.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And you would think that they were, because we are trained to believe that someone's our soulmate, that's our happily ever after, but
Well,
that's not
that's the Jerry
necessarily the case.
Maguire, you complete me.
Yes.
Wrong. We
Yes.
are absolutely complete in ourselves and should be complete in ourselves and do our own work. No one
Oh,
else is going to fix you, save you, complete you. We're
right.
not Rapunzel up in the tower.
Although
Um,
that was very romantic.
right, right. It's
Just
just,
not
it's just,
realistic.
it's just it's over romanticized. And I think it's disempowering in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. And certainly, yes, some people do have these lovely, lovely relationships. My oldest daughter, who's 25, she met her husband. They married this past July, and she met him when she was 16 years old in high school. So, she's been together with him since she was 16,
Yeah. Wow.
and he was 18. So they just met early in life, but they don't hold each other back. They just grow together. But
Mhm.
those are just, wonderful, beautiful soulmates. And I did work with a spiritual numerologist, and and they can look at your birth date, they can look at the birth date and other information, the full name. And she looked at my ex-husband and I and said, yes, you are technically soulmates. It's the criteria is if you're matching on 3 of the 6 criteria, that's a
Mhm.
soulmate. So he and I were, a quote, weak soulmate match.
Mhm.
My former boyfriend and I were 6 out of 6. So I said to her, well, I don't get it. Why did we break up? Isn't that better? She said, oh, no one could handle that. She's like, that is way
Too
too
much.
intense. It's just too much. There's too much
Mhm.
history. And things would come up. Again, back to your question of what types of lives. So he was a sea captain. I was a sea captain's wife in Halifax. We had a big
Mhm.
family. That life went pretty well. We had a lifetime in tiny little Othello, Washington, where we were gentlemen farmers, and
Mm.
we wrote almost full time. That was lovely, but we also had some very more dramatic, more difficult, more contentious ones. There was a lifetime, the colonial America one, where I just got so bent because he wouldn't marry me, and I just didn't understand that
Mhm.
abandonment in my second book in the Flow One Plymouth Plantation. So there just were some very very intense relationships and lives too.
Did you have a favorite life with him?
Oh, yes. It is. This is going to sound funny. It's as pirates. We were pirates in the late 1300s, early 1400s, and we were born in Germany, but we were what's called victuals, pirates. We were stealing food. It was wartime. The governments were very corrupt, and we were, shall I say, liberating food,
Mhm.
and delivering it and getting it to the people and selling it at very affordable prices. I loved that life, and he just absolutely loved it too. I think he would say the same thing, that was his favorite life. And for me to be, like that bold and that spontaneous, to be a Robin Hood pirate, is another term for it. It was great until he was captured and beheaded in the public square
Wow.
in Hamburg Square. I was there for it. I survived because I was not on the ship, but he and almost all of our crew, my sister and I, were not aboard. We had been scouting in the town because we were sometimes on the ship, but often in the towns, because we were doing the buying and selling of the food. And we
Mm.
would also go down by the water, and we would flash lanterns to let our ship know, yes, it's safe to come on in, or no, stay away, stay away. I don't have a good feeling
Interesting.
about it. So, and another friend in my life now, Becky Buchko, who I met her through the Facebook Reincarnation and Past Life Memories group that she started. She thought it would grow to maybe 100 people, and it's now like 24,000 people
Wow.
um, from around the world. She saved my life because I must have cried out, or just I gave myself away at that
Mhm.
beheading. and we were standing like with our backs. My sister and I were trying to like stay kind of far back because I didn't want to be too close, but felt a need to be there. I'm just, trying to send love and support and hoping there's going to be a stay of execution, but there was not. So I gave myself away somehow, and it was noticed. So they were coming after us, and she came out of her bookstore. I think she was a male, and just grabbed us and yanked us into the bookstore and said, "You've got to get out of here," and took us out like a back door. And we
Wow.
ran for our lives down the alleyway. And went on and lived a good long life. But she literally saved our lives, and I'm sure was putting herself at some risk and telling the police a tale of oh, I didn't see anything. What are you talking about?
Right. How does knowing about your past lives affect you now in your current experience?
Oh, so many ways. It takes away the perfectionism. It takes away just any sense of not being able to achieve things. It takes away any sadness or depression, because it takes away anxiety, because I just feel like, well, I'll do my very best. And I'm very fortunate because I have access to so much information, just that database of what's in the Akashic records, where our information is stored. And I love taking clients there during their session, and we go specifically looking for the lifetime that has the most healing and information for their lifetime now. So we're not on this, fishing trip for whatever shows up. It's going to be practical now. But it's such a confidence builder. It just brings me such happiness and joy. And it's just helped me understand what my purpose is, and just to be able to help other people with their spiritual awakening, and to know that it's going to be okay. Yes, there's some real challenges, but just doing our best to be open-hearted, to be kind, to be living our purpose, to be helping others understand all these experiences that can happen as spiritually transformative experiences, because they can bring you to your knees. I mean, they can just be so off-putting and isolating and painful, that, you need someone else to help you make sense of them at times.
I agree. And I love that there are people who, like you, are able to support others in those experiences, because learning that information and going through different types of awakenings, if you will, can really knock the wind out of you.
Absolutely. And also, I want to reassure everyone, we're never shown things that we can't handle or that are not pertinent. So even though that may sound very, horrible, scary, I saw my husband beheaded, but I came to peace with it, and I loved that life. So, just no regrets, no regrets about it at all. And also, when we're in session, we're pulling up to the soul level, and you've got your regressionist just helping support you. You've got the guides there. So, we can make like whatever scene we need to see. If I can tell something off-putting or might be scary or challenges coming, I'll have the person make it into a little tiny TV screen. It's like, pull way back from it. You're going to experience it to learn, but you're going to be dispassionate. You're just fine. Your soul cannot die, and just explaining that to the person. And then they're able to see, well, why that happened, what that was about, what was that about? Because we've all been saints and sinners. We've absolutely all been, that horrible.
I love that you said that, because in your book, when Anne Warren Little said, "We have all been saints and sinners," that has stuck with me.
Absolutely.
That one, and also the ghost you find in your closet could be you.
Exactly.
I jotted those down because I was like, wow, yes, so good.
Exactly. Because yes, there really are a lot of ghosts. There's a lot of stuck energy, because our souls don't always go home to the light. We can be too focused on what happened in that lifetime and just be, looking back at it. We can be we can have been surprised by that very sudden death, or just, whatever happened, or we can just like be trying to stay behind a comfort family or to get information across. Well, we can do that better once we cross to home. We'll be at a much higher vibration, but sometimes we don't know that, we forget.
Yeah, well, it's easy to forget when you're right in the moment of it all.
Think of it, yes.
Yeah. With your book, I had a question in regards to some of the things you shared, but I was wanting you to share with us a little more about soul retrieval and how would you have an experience with an older version or a past life version of yourself?
Sure. So when we have very traumatic experiences, upsetting experiences, something just totally came out of the blue or didn't meet our expectation, or just really, upset us, made us unhappy, whatever. I believe that trauma can cause, picture it like a shard, because your soul's always perfect, but we can lose some energy, and we could, like I did after Plymouth, choose to stay behind as a ghost. And once we're able to understand what happened and heal and release, you can bring that energy back into yourself. And that's a soul retrieval. It's done in the Native American tradition, a lot of the indigenous. It's done by shaman. Spiritual teachers can help with this work. You can also potentially do it for yourself. But a lot of times people do better with, a second person helping hold space for them with that, and just helping share those experiences. So I'm really grateful for the spiritual teachers that helped me and the healers that helped me do some of those soul retrievals.
I would say so. It's just, I say fascinating a lot because it's the first word that comes to my mind on how I would even wrap my mind around the possibility of that even being a thing or a possibility at all.
Yes. And also when you consider, in psychology, a lot of work being done with inner child healing.
Yes.
Because we all have stuff from when we're younger, because, oh my goodness, isn't it the hardest job in the world to be a great parent? It's not like it comes with an instruction manual.
No.
Our children are our greatest teachers in many ways, and we absolutely make mistakes with them. So they absolutely can have these wounds, and it's not about blaming the parents. We're all responsible for healing that when we become adults. That's our responsibility.
Right. And it's crazy to think that we come into this experience with this knowing, but yeah, obviously we're not able to talk about it or share with others because we're not, we're brand new. We're new into this human body. But the experience, I just lost my thought that I wanted to share when you were talking about that. Oh, yeah. So the things that we learn throughout our lives. Do you believe that we bring any kind of traumas or negative energy into the current life we have from a past life?
Absolutely. Think of fears and phobias. Think of people who are frightened of heights, spiders, snakes, dogs.
There's a reason
water.
for that.
If there was nothing in the current lifetime, if there's no reason, there's no frightening experience with any of those things, or intimacy, authority, those are other big past life issues that can present. And they can be just very off-putting and hard to figure out. I'll give you a quick example.
Okay.
I scheduled a trip to go to Europe two summers ago in July 2019. I was thrilled. I had never traveled internationally by myself. This was like a really big deal to be going on this 2-week trip over to the UK. But about 3 to 4 days before the trip, I started having nightmares. I was getting so stressed about the ground transportation pieces, like the Uber, the subway, the trains, nothing to do with the flights. I don't have any issues with fear of flying. It was all about ground transportation. I almost canceled my trip. And I was like, what is going on here? Why am I so freaked out? So I'm supposed to leave on Friday. literally on Tuesday, I called an angel healer and said, I'm turning myself into you because I'm acting like a nut. Something's wrong here, and I'm completely freaked out about the ground transportation. There's not going to be a problem with it. And if I miss a train, I'll take another train. If I can't figure out the subway, I'll take an Uber. I'm a capable human being. Why am I so freaked out? And she just tuned into my energy and took a look at me and said, oh gosh, I see you in England driving a horse and carriage. It's a big horse and carriage. It's a for hire. You've got 4 horses. You've got passengers, paying passengers, and you're driving the horses. I said, I got it. And I was able to narrate it. I said, I'm driving the horses too hard because it was like a short winter days, and we needed to get to where we were going to be staying. And the roads were just getting too dark. There's no light. And I miscalculated. And sadly, I drove the horses off the side of the road, and it was a cliff, and we all perished. So I died, the horses died, the passengers died.
Wow.
It's ground transportation. And so I just was sobbing as she, started, because I could see it once she got me started with what it had been. I said, okay, I get it now. And I said, what do I do? What do I do? I just don't even feel like I can go on this trip. There's no way I'm getting refunds at this point. And I want to go. I need to go. And she said, just tell them the truth. Just talk to those people, talk to their souls, tell them you're so sorry. It was a terrible accident. Take responsibility for it. It was your fault. You miscalculated. And to make it worse, the female passenger was pregnant, and she's back in my life now, and she has the same baby. And for me, given permission to drive her son in my car, in his car seat, I cannot tell you how careful I am, because I just had to really release that energy. But it explained not only my nuttiness about not wanting to go on this trip because I was doing this freak out, but it explained why I had never liked driving with people in my car. I was always happy driving alone. And I did a lot of driving. I did outside sales for years, and had a perfect record for 35 years. But when she narrated that lifetime, I said, oh my gosh, there's another. And I was a train conductor. Again, it was in the UK, so that can't have been that long ago. And I was a train conductor, but it was very early days. And those tracks were not great. Those trains and engines were not great. There was some sort of horrible accident. Not my fault, but that doesn't take the weight of the world off your shoulders when people die. And you're the conductor, and people are injured. You feel that. So it can then show up in this very pronounced, surprising way.
It's neat, though. Think about that. You obviously have, but listeners, what things are you terrified about? Or what patterns of behaviors do you have that you're like, where did this come from?
Yes.
It's always linked to another experience.
Exactly.
It's
because
so crazy.
Our souls are eternal and emotions are timeless. So to go back to your original question, yes, I believe past life energy, whether it's the good, the bad, or the ugly, absolutely can be impacting us now. Certainly it's more pronounced for some individuals than others. Other people, it's really not an issue. So they're not going to be interested in past lives, or they're just not going to have, very much information because they don't need it. They're here to focus on now. I've
never had a past life regression experience myself, but I have had very vivid dreams and some reoccurring dreams, and they're very familiar to me. And when I had an Akashic reading, some of those dreams came up in the reading where she actually shared the life with me, and I was just blown away because it's not something that I share with others. I've had this dream, it's just something I've jotted down because it keeps happening. And yet here she is sharing. So I've seen you've had this life and this was the experience. And I'm always thinking it's just this reoccurring nightmare because really it was horrible, but it actually was a past life.
And how
And
do
I
you
trust that
feel
she
now?
knows that.
Since you worked with her, has that dream ended? Have you been able to heal?
I haven't worked with her. It was I shouldn't say just, but it was a reading. And so obviously the next steps moving forward would be to dive a little deeper into that experience. And I would like to, I just have not taken the time to do so as of yet.
Sure. And those really vivid dreams that repeat, those really are important,
So
guides
detailed.
our attention, so detailed. And anyone who notices a dream where there's a person with a title in it, whether it's your Uber driver or teacher or attorney, any sort of title, that's a guide. So pay particular
interesting.
attention to that and try and go with what that guide is suggesting or recommending for you.
That's good advice. We're wrapping up close to the end of the show, but I want to have you take the next few minutes and share with us about your books, because you shared with me. I listened to them. They were so good. I was fascinated.
Thank
You are a fantastic narrator.
Oh, thank you. You're so
It shows
kind.
even now as you share with us your pronunciation. It was easy to listen to. I really enjoyed it. But please take the time to share with us what you've written and shared about.
The first book I wrote, Regression Healing 1, The Huntsman, the Lord High Mayor, and the World War II Soldier, this is actually the boyfriend that woke me up spiritually. It's actually his session with me because he was having severe issues with chronic pain. And so I offered to do a session for him. So what a neat way for that circle to complete, because he introduces me to past life regression, finds my first therapist, etc. And then a few years later, I'm his hypnotherapist, and it was a really profound session because he not only found lives that were important for him to understand, but he was able to connect with his higher self, which he hadn't been able to do. He was able to connect with his guides, which he hadn't been able to do. And we also heard from his guides. They were just narrating, drawing parallels from different lives that we had had, and just were bringing things together. It was like wrapping it up with this neat bow. And there also was some really, really tough energy to release. And he had said to me at one point, I can't trust you. And I know that doesn't make sense. I know it's really old energy because you're very trustworthy, but I can't figure out what lifetime it is, and I just can't shake it. And that was part of why he wanted to end the relationship. So, that sort of thing can just come up around trust. And we found out something really, really hard of why he was having this chronic pain. And he found out, who was involved with causing that, and were able to release it. But it really, really was tough. So that's the first book. And then the second, Colonial America. And I wrote it as historic fiction, metaphysical fiction, but it's based on my past life as Anne Warren Little. And Richard and Elizabeth, not Little. Little was my married name, but Richard Warren and Elizabeth Warren were some of the original people who were at Plymouth Plantation. Richard Warren, my father, was on the original 1620 Mayflower. So it just was so many cast of characters, so many people in my life now were in that lifetime too, because I chose to stay behind as a ghost, and not okay, not a good decision. So they came to help me clean up the energy. And my former boyfriend, who was a sea captain in that life, he helped me do that soul retrieval. So that was very appreciated.
Why would you choose to stay as a ghost?
I chose to stay as a ghost because it was a very sudden death. It was 1675. I go down totally unexpectedly. All I did was step outside on my front stoop to let my cat in because my cat was meowing, and I went down Indian Arrow, King Philip's War. Didn't see it coming, didn't know it was coming. I die very suddenly. I do an unfortunate total freak out. I'm going everywhere as a ghost, out of my body. And the cat's just wailing over my body. Same cat. I had the same cat for the last 20 years. He just passed 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
But
wow.
the cat's just like wailing over my body. And I'm trying to find all my children, my grandchildren. I'm just like frantic. And almost everyone dies that day. And certainly I'm being urged to go up to the light, but I just was super stubborn. And I said, well, I have to wait for William, Captain William Pierce. That's the last thing he said to me when I was 18 was, I'll be back for you. And here I am in my mid 60s. I've died. I must be meant to wait for him because he never came back. So I just was overly literal about that. And I stayed behind.
Yeah. I highly recommend listeners for you guys to get these books. They really are interesting. And they really are. They kept me intrigued the entire time I was listening. Just everything you shared, plus how you shared, of course. How can others get the copies of the books and find out more about you?
Yes. So the books are on Amazon under my full name. Look for Wendy Rose Williams, and also on Audible. And there's also a third one, Heaven Sent, is a multi-author book. And I've got a book in there called The War Dog. So you'll just see them when you Google my name or search for my name on Amazon. They're also on my website too, which is wendyrosewilliams.com. And people are so welcome to visit the website and request a complimentary 15-minute phone appointment. And let's just see if I can be of service to you.
Yes.
And I love giving things away like you. So let's give away 3 audiobooks. So the first 3 people that email me through my website, through wendyrosewilliams.com, and mention AJ and Soul Wanderings, I'd be happy to send you an audiobook.
That's so good. Thank you, Wendy.
Oh, absolutely.
I love that so much. Make sure you guys do that. These books really are that good. They're so, so interesting. And also, Wendy, really quick, I'm going to run out of time, but you guys, she has a podcast. Go and have a listen.
Yes.
It's really good. I've enjoyed listening to a few of your episodes, and we'll continue to do more. Keep shining that bright and shiny light of yours. And thank you so much for reaching out and your desire to be a guest here on Soul Wanderings. It's been very enjoyable.
Well, likewise, thank you for having me. And please do check out wakingupspiritually.com. You'll find the podcast information there.
Perfect. And it is also on wendyrosewilliams.com.
Yes.
All right, everyone. This concludes another episode.
Thank you for being here.
Of Soul Wanderings in the 100s. So next week, we're going to celebrate 200th episode. I hope to have you here. Until then, take care of yourselves and happy day.